Is there a strategy that'll help you grow your company faster? CEO Sales Strategies is an investigative business podcast for entrepreneurial people who never stop asking questions. Highly acclaimed sales revenue growth expert Doug C. Brown interviews CEOs, business owners, and professionals who serve them to uncover and share actionable tips and methods behind their bulletproof sales strategies. Topics covered on the show include their failures, struggles, secrets, and processes that help them succeed in selling millions to billions of dollars of their products and services, all with the sole aim of helping you grow your business. If you are eager to know the most effective sales secrets from the A players of the game, then the CEO Sales Strategies podcast is certainly the place to be.
Hey everyone, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. We've got a great episode for you today, an amazing guest. His name is Mr. David Valentine. His company is Avadel, A-V-A-D-E-L .agency. And David has 7 companies and he does quite well. And the reason I asked him to come here is he has a specialty which he has done to lessen stress on his life and his personnel and all of the businesses, and create way more money and create massive leverage in the process. So shall I tell you what it is? Okay, so it is about creating offers that are outrageous. In other words, not outrageous to the negative, but creating outrageous offers that sell. And we're going to talk about how an offer can springboard you forward, or a weak offer can actually hold you from moving forward. And so I don't want to reveal everything here. Let the expert tell you about it. Let's go talk to Dave right now. Here we go. David, welcome to the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. Thanks so much for being here.
Super excited to be here, Doug. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I really appreciate you being here. I love your energy of every time we talk. It's just been amazing. I walk away feeling better than when I was talking to you, prior. So thank you for that. Why don't you tell everybody what you do? I mean, I know you own 7 companies, or you've had 7 companies. Today you have, why don't you tell everybody so we can frame the call?
Yeah, so I've been an entrepreneur my whole life. When I was 3, I sold my first item. I sold a picture to a friend of the family of my grandparents, and I sold it for $40. And this was in the 80s, so that was a lot of money. And ever since then, I've always had ventures. I started my first grown-up business at the age of 25. I don't know if you can call a 25-year-old a grown-up, but nevertheless, it was an advertising agency. And I'd only worked in marketing in-house before that. I had no idea what I was doing. Like any entrepreneur, I didn't know how to get a client. I didn't know how to do bookkeeping. I wasn't sure how to hire someone. It was a whole learning curve, right? And so as I figured that out, I was able to scale that company up to 7 figures within 4 years. And I mostly did it through networking opportunities. And I burned myself out. By the age of 29, my doc, I went to the doctor and had a checkup because my wife was concerned. She's like, you haven't had a checkup since you were in college playing soccer. Maybe you should go to the doc. You're about to be 30. We've got our second kid on the way. Go get checked out. So I go to the doc and come back a week later after they ran some tests, and he's going over the results. He says, "Hey, Dave, do you know when you're going to have a heart attack?" And I go, I don't even understand that question, doc. And he goes, "We've tested 4,500 people. You're the most stressed out person we've ever tested. If you don't change your behavior, you're not going to see 40. And I had a young daughter under the age of 3 and a son on the way. And so I was like, crap, I got to figure this out. So in the course of figuring that out, I was able to come up with a way to sell more without me having to do networking events, and then eventually sold that company in the summer of 2019. Started a SDR firm called Avadel right after that implemented some of those same ideas that we used to grow the first agency for our clients in the new one. And then I've acquired or started 6 more businesses since then. And I now own a portfolio of 3 different agencies, a consulting firm that works with advertising and marketing agencies to grow, scale, and sell their agency, 2 software companies, and a flight school with my brother outside of Fort Worth, Texas. So it's fun.
And you're doing this all now with less stress than you did with the original company?
Yes. I mean, like, it's so funny, right, Doug? Like, everybody's like, 7 companies, you seem so relaxed. I'm like, I am relaxed. I work less on the 7 companies than I did on the singular company. I make more money. The other companies make more money, and it's less work. And so, yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
That's really awesome, because a lot of people can relate to being stressed or burnt out. I mean, I went through it myself, and I was in my late 30s at the time, and it was just one day. I was Friday night, and I heard this wave go across my head, like, you're done. And I was for the next year. I just couldn't do anything, right? So I'm glad you didn't reach that point or reach the heart attack point. And so you found ways to leverage things that maybe you didn't leverage before. And one of the great things I know you've learned to leverage was creating offers. And so many people have a really hard challenge with creating offers, or I should say, an offer that sells. So you have something that you create, you call it outrageous offers that sell. And I want to delve into that. Part of me wants to go back to the burnout thing, because I can hear all the people that maybe are driving or whatever going, whoa, 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 Doug, no, don't go down to the offer thing here. But what is an outrageous offer? And well, how would you define it?
Something that sounds too good to be true to every customer and client that you share it with, but is actually highly profitable for you and your company.
It's a great definition. So something that's actually true that people will say, whoa, but it's really true, and it gets them to take action because it's almost as the old Godfather line, let's make him an offer that he can't refuse, that type of thing, right?
Yeah, it's one of those things where I used to have this situation in my first agency where we were doing digital advertising, and the common refrain that I heard was, Dave, if I knew that if I gave you $1, I was going to get $1 back or $1.50, I'd give you $100,000. But I don't know that. So I can't do that. So I need to do this little small thing and just see if we can build into it. I just don't know. And one of the things that really hit me, Doug, was objections or opportunities. Like, every time that I used to get an objection in my first agency, I went, oh, crap, now I got to sell around this, or I got to sell through this, or I got to whatever. The reality is the objection is the thing that you say, okay, that's the objection that people have. They want to see a guaranteed ROI for their ad spend. How could I make it possible for that to be a reality? How could I make it and ensure that they're going to get that back? If that's what everybody wants, and that was what everybody wanted. So I started to dive into the data, and I just went, what would it take for that to occur? So we started to identify a few things. One thing that I realized in that first firm was, when we mostly worked with e-commerce companies, 48.4% of the time across all of our clients, across different industries, absolutely different products and services, the reason why people would leave a website and not make a purchase was because there was no free shipping. 48.4% of the time, it was like clockwork across the board. And so what we realized, even in the early 2010s, was Amazon had transitioned everyone to expect free shipping, especially on a new product. So we would tell people, listen, you want a guaranteed ROI, you have to give us free shipping. Bake it into the cost of the price. Doesn't matter. You got to give free shipping away. And so some people would say, we don't want to do free shipping. We can't figure out the economics on that. I'm like, well, I can help you figure it out if you want. Some would still say no. And I'd say, great. Well, we're not going to give you the guarantee, but we can still work with you. But what it would do, because we had guaranteed ROI, is we're sending out emails and sending out LinkedIn and doing creative snail mail follow-up with piñatas in the mail and cookies and Yeti coolers and all sorts of crazy stuff. What would end up happening was they would come through the door because they'd see guaranteed return on ad spend. And they'd go, I want that. Sign me up. So now we're in a conversation. They're like, I don't want to give you free shipping. Okay, well, we can still work with you, but we can't give you the guarantee. Now the customer isn't thinking, should I go with Dave and his agency, or should I go with somebody else? They're going, do I give the free shipping, or do I take it without the guarantee? We've totally switched the buying conversation to guarantee or no guarantee. There's no third option in their mind. And so we ended up just closing deals like clockwork. And I wasn't having to go out and go to 5, 6, 7 different networking events and be a part of EO and do. It wasn't that anymore. It was really, hey man, we're getting 25, 35, 40 inbound calls every single week. How do we scale this thing? And that becomes a fun conversation.
That's awesome. And I know some people are thinking this, well, if you give free shipping, you must have to raise your price. That like, so if you raised your price, then the free shipping, I mean, then when they look at the price, that mine's going to be higher, and the people's minds go back and forth. And what I've learned from this whole process prior even to our conversation, but especially during our first conversation, was doesn't matter. They're going to take the free shipping because that's what they want.
It's like that whole it's almost that whole idea of like, we just don't want to be surprised when the bill comes due.
Yep.
Right. You never want to get to the end of a meal and be like, oh, by the way, we put gratuity on top that's just automatically charged of 18% every time. I mean, 20% is like you did a bad job, because I worked in the service industry. I know how that is. 30% is for people that are excellent. 25% is what most people give. But if they put an 18% gratuity on there, it makes me upset, and I usually don't tip anymore. And I tell the manager that every time. I go, listen, I'm sure that you guys get stiffed. I'm just going to let you know I don't appreciate that. I want to be generous with your staff. This is kind of weird to me. So I think it's that same principle, Doug, of like, can you just give me something and I not be surprised at the end? Taxes, I get taxes. Shipping, I don't get.
Yeah, I'm gonna give another example to reinforce what you just said, because so I still own this company today. It's called Telecom Auditing Group, and it's more of a parent company than the other companies today. But back when we started this, we would go out and we would say we were an auditing and consulting company for telecommunications, and our pitch was, hey, we can safely reduce your phone bill by 24.5% on the same carrier without you having to change carriers or do anything. And I knew I could do this, Dave, because just inherent in the phone bills by the carriers, there's mistakes. There's just mistakes that happen, right? So, and I was averaging 25%, 24.5% across all the clients. So that was the pitch. Now, 1 in 4 were taking that.
Yep.
Right? Now, it didn't cost any money because all I wanted was a percentage of the savings.
Right.
Right. So only 1 in 4. So that's what I wanted everybody to catch. 1 in 4. And I was like going crazy. I'm like, it costs nothing. We do all the work. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to change the carrier. Why is only 1 in 4 saying this to me? So I went back and did what you had suggested that people do. And I called people and asked them why they're not buying. Like, I just couldn't figure it out. Like, why aren't you buying? And they gave me the list of the reasons why they're not buying in order of priority. And number 1 was, even though they weren't changing carriers, they had changed carriers in the past or made adjustments on their phone bill, and the carriers would knock them out of service. And so they'd be down for a day or 2 days and they'd lose more money than they would get from savings. Right. The second one is that they didn't want to do any of the work themselves. Right. They just didn't want it. They didn't want to get much time into it. So there were four or five reasons. And if somebody went to my web, still there, telecomauditinggroup.com, you would see the 4 or 5 reasons. We changed the pitch and we said, I can save you 24.5% on your phone bill without changing carriers if you allow us to follow our process that we do with 99.7% certainty, we will never knock you out of service. I have data to prove this. I only need 15 minutes of your time and no more for the first month of doing this, and maybe 15 minutes in the second month. And we gave the other 2 or 3 reasons. Close rate went from 1 out of 4, 25%, to 72%. So when you're talking about what you're talking about, what I want people to get is the power of what you're talking about. Because what I'm hearing is you look at objections as opportunities to find the data. And once you find the data, then you craft your messaging based on that information, frame it in a way that it's win-win for the client. I mean, guaranteed return ad spend. Who wouldn't do that? That's crazy, right? I mean, and that's kind of the magic in doing an outrageous offer. Do I have this correct?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really going, what are the, you think about it, like, what are the barriers to entry for everyone? If you look at large corporations, they do this well. But what's interesting to me, Doug, is a lot of consultants in your space and in mine will tell people, charge for everything. Charge for everything that you can, maximize your profits, maximize your profits. Now, listen, I'm all for maximizing profits. So are you. That being said, though, there's a level of right. And why is AT&T giving everyone a new iPhone 14 to switch to AT&T? Because they recognize that it costs money to acquire a new customer, that it's a pain in the rear end to go and switch your cell phone carrier. So what do they need to do? For a family of 4, it's worth $4,000 worth of equipment. Okay, that's what we got to do to get a new customer. We're going to make that up over a 2-year agreement because we know that we're going to get $300 a month every month for the next 2 years. Fine. Who cares if we give them $4,000 in equipment? That's fine. You think about Costco. I love that story. They still have the rotisserie chickens for $4.99 in the very back of their store, which a Costco is enormous. So what do? You walk past the electronics, the watches, the everything to get to the back where the $4.99 chicken is. And then they place it right next to the prepared food, which they have high margins on, the wine, which they have high margins on, the beer, which they have high margins on. And what are you going to do? As my friend once told me, in order to walk into Costco, there's a $250 tax. And so they lost $21 million on rotisserie chickens because it costs more than $4.99 to make a chicken nowadays. But they keep doing it because people come in for the rotisserie chicken and they go, oh, you know what? Susie and Bob are coming over on Friday. Let's grab some chips. Oh, well, you know what? We're a little bit low on the wine at the house. Oh, we need to get some whatever, right? They just keep going through the store and they're there. Now they're making purchases. It's not about the chicken, right? And so when you think about large corporations, they do this really, really well. And that's something that we should be doing across the board.
We're speaking with Mr. David Valentine. He has a company called Avadel, Avadel Agency. Check them out. We're talking about outrageous offers. We were just talking about Costco. Now, here's the funny part, like Costco, BJ's does the same type of thing in some regards, and Sam's Club. Every time I go into BJ's with my wife, I walk out of there with $300 or $400 worth of stuff.
Yeah.
Every time.
Every time.
In fact, I will go there with my wife and I'll say, I'm just buying this one electronic thing.
Famous last words.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we come out with 2 carts worth of stuff. It's crazy. And Whole Foods, Whole Foods, I've been this honest on the podcast before. I'm not as enamored with you as I used to be, but the reality is Whole Foods brought me in on an outrageous offer, Dave, where I was in there one time. I didn't even know what Whole Foods was. I walked in there one time. I'm like, well, nice store. And I looked up on, to go get a smoothie because in Florida, they made smoothies at the location when I was on vacation. And I look up and it said, we guarantee that if you don't like anything in the store, basically you can return it for any reasons whatsoever. So if you don't like the taste of the food, you don't like this, you don't like that.
Yep.
Right now, Whole Foods never get out of there for under $60 a bag. I mean, it's just,
yeah.
But it's the primary place that we shop. And it was
Right.
because of that outrageous offer that they made that drew me in originally. And, and I've been shopping there for, I don't know, 5 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting you bring up the, if you're not satisfied, you can bring it back. No questions asked, money back. I have a friend who got started, oh man, 10, 12 years ago now. He started his first company and he was selling an e-course for $147. And he would tell people, hey, listen, here's the course that you get. Here's what comes with it. It's a lifetime money back guarantee. If you don't like it, if you don't love it, email me, we'll refund it. He had 100,000 plus people go through that. I mean, one course. It was crazy. The thing that I asked him was, I said, hey, Brian, what's your return policy like? Like how many returns have you got? He goes, honestly, I've only had 0.25% of all purchasers ever ask for a refund. He said, I can see how many have gone through the entire course. He goes, it's only 12%. 12% have gone through the entire course, but all that other 88%, only 0.25% asked for a refund. So when you think about it, you're offering something to make people feel like the transaction is frictionless, but most people aren't going to come back and ask for the guarantee.
Now I have a question on this. You may or may not know the answer. In all the reading I've done, it shows the longer you do that, like in his case, lifetime, the longer that is offered, the lower the return rate usually. It's it's interesting. So are we talking about risk reversal, Dave, here, or are we talking about something beyond risk reversal?
It's definitely risk reversal, but it's also something else. Mm-hmm. It's if you understand your client's objections, your customer's objections to purchasing whatever it is, and then you really do see those as opportunities. It's not just reversing the risk, it's making it so easy for them to say yes. What are they going to do? I love what has happened a number of times for my companies. I hear these stories every single month from every one of my sales guys at every company that I own. There will be 3 or 4 people that go, well, I've checked out your competitors. You made this easy. I can't say no to what you're offering. So imagine 3 to 4 sales every month, and a lot of our stuff is high ticket. Mm-hmm. For your company. Our cheapest offering right now is for a PR firm, and it's $3,500 a month. So 3 to 4 sales from them is not bad.
Right.
In monthly recurring revenue, which is great. And we'll have 3 or 4 people every month that are just like, you made this easy. You made this easy. It's easy to say yes. It's easy to get started. That's one of the things that I love to do too, Doug, and it's part of the outrageous offer, is it's like, we have a call, we send them an agreement, they can read the agreement. It's literally the agreement of the contractual portion is a page. That's it. I worked really hard with lawyers to figure it out for all of them. They can sign it digitally and we get going. And that's it. And a lot of people, and this is when I consult with agency owners a lot, this is what happens all the time, is I'm like, hey, what does your proposals look like? And this is not an exaggeration. They're 25, 30 pages. Yeah. You can't sign it digitally. It's just a Word doc. I'm like, what are you doing? And so it's really going, what are all the reasons why someone would say no? And one of them is you're making it hard. I had this happen today. Somebody cold called me today and he's like, hey, just text back your email. I guess he texted me and I'll get you started. And I was like, okay, cool. And I texted my email and he goes, well, actually, could we get on a phone call? And I was like, no, I want you to email me. And he goes, well, it might go to spam. Maybe it'd be easier for you to send me an email first. And I was like, do you want to make a sale? Email me. I'll check spam. And so finally he relinquished, but I'm like, dude, you've already lost me. Yeah. 90% chance I'm not going to do anything with you because you didn't make it easy for me to say yes. Just make it easy.
So it's really about making it easy on every step, every stage. of the process.
Yeah, I mean, like I know that it's overused. However, it's helpful because I use this same sort of, I do this with my wife on a regular basis, right? Where I'm thinking about what are the things that she's going to encounter that are going to make her day more challenging, hard, whatever. How can I head those off and make her life easier? So sometimes that's putting the kids to bed. Sometimes that's making dinner. Sometimes that's doing the dishes. Sometimes it's all the above. Sometimes it's getting her to a massage place and having her have a spa day, whatever, right? If you're thinking about your customer, what are the pain points that they hit in every step of the process, not just with you, but with every one of your competitors? One of my favorite things to do, Doug, is to go shop my competitors, man, and just go, hey, tell me about how you do this. Tell me about how you do that. And I just hear their pitches and I see what they're doing and I see the mistakes that they make where I go, ooh, don't love that. Or I realize they do that really well. Wow, look how easy that was to get into. And so there's a double-edged sword there that can be really, really helpful.
So what you're really talking about, because I take that away with what you're doing for your wife, is you're being a really great partner, and you're heading off all of this potential stress or headaches that she could be going through. And what I'm hearing is, if we do this for our clients, we do this for our potential buyers, it's like really being in a great relationship, and therefore it's hard to say no.
I mean, like, it's so easy to just say like, hey, if I can anticipate your next need.
Right.
So here's the thing that we've done with the SDR firm. It was cool. We went, okay, we make it easy for them to say yes. Then when they sign on, what's the next problem that they're going to encounter? Okay. I had a really smart friend talk a little bit about this with me, but one of the things that he talked about was the moment that someone signs a contract, they immediately start to doubt if they made the right decision. Not because you did anything wrong. It's just the human condition.
Yep.
So what we started to do was, hey, I'm going to shoot a Loom video on my phone. It's going to be somebody that's high up at the company that they haven't talked to, chief product officer, COO, could even be me. Sometimes I pinch hit and throw one out. Hey, I'm Dave. It's a 30 to 40-second clip. Hey, I'm Dave. I'm the CEO. I just want to say what's up. I'm so glad that we're talking, and I'm super excited to be working with you. I know my team's excited. Hope that you're having a great day. I'm very excited that you're investing in your company in this way, blah, blah, blah. Send it over, same day. What's it do? Automatically gives us a piece of goodwill, right? The next thing that we do is we send them an email. Hey, listen, here's your next steps. The same day that they sign. It's from the person that's their point of contact. Here's your next steps. Here's a document with how everything works. We're going to schedule a meeting. We'd love to have a meeting with you in the next 2 to 3 business days if possible. We're going to be talking for 45 minutes. Here are some of the things that you can bring with you. Tell them exactly what to expect, and then pre-handle some of the objections that they're going to have. And then the other thing that we realized was, okay, so if the SDR firm is booking them meetings, the next problem they're going to have is closing, because most people refer their way to business all the time. They're like, I got a 90% close rate. I'm like, yeah, it's because you're getting them from Uncle Bob and Aunt Terry and which is fine. That's great. Keep doing that. But now you're getting cold leads. So we had to train our clients on how to close these. How do you even have the conversation? What does that look like? And so that's part of the idea as well. And I think it's really just being so interested, and I mean that, so interested in your clients and customers that you're able to go, that's a pain point. That's not great. What can we do over here? How can we make that all work? And as you find that interest and that desire, it really starts to bring about some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I just had a client yesterday. They were having challenges getting, so their leads, marketing qualified leads, sales ready leads, sales qualified leads, right? And purchase order ready leads. I mean, if we throw them into 5 categories, right?
Yeah.
I mean, all salespeople in the world, they want purchase order ready leads. I mean, hey, hi, Dave, how are you? Oh, thanks for your credit card. See you. That's what they're looking for, right? But this company's generating leads to marketing qualified leads at best and dropping them to their sales team and saying, you've got to close them on the first call.
Right.
And I'm like, it's not likely going to work. We got to figure out what they're looking for, the whole discovery process, right? So they were having a really hard time because a majority of the second appointment leads being set are not showing up. And I asked them one 3-letter question: why? And they said, I don't know. I said, well, what are you doing during the conversation to lower their fear and increase their confidence in the ability to take that second call? And they were like, what? And I'm like, and so we went through like during the call, and then just as you just said, post call, because the moment they hang up, they're going to go talk to somebody and somebody's going to go, dude, that's stupid. Or, right? Or,
Yep.
right. And so what I'm hearing is a parallel between what you're saying and what I said yesterday to these people, which is we've got to lower the fear and increase the buying confidence at every single turn in the process. And you're doing it masterfully. And I know you're getting, may I say your close rate across?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So I think you had told me prior to you're getting a consistent 37+% close rate on your, on your leads coming through. And so you're lowering that fear and increasing the confidence, but you're also removing all the impediments that could possibly get in the way and creating yes states in their head over and over and over. Wow. Yes, this is easy. Wow. Wow. I didn't think about, that makes sense. Right. And they're just going on and on and on and on through these yes states. And it's really difficult when somebody says yes 5, 6, 7, 8 times ago. No, right? It's just psychologically our brains don't, want to do so. So this is brilliant on what you're doing. Now, I can hear people going, but Dave, well, this worked for my company. I'm not an agency. I'm not a, whatever, right? What would you say?
Yeah, so the outrageous offers, here's what's interesting. Okay, so we work with 200 clients that are in every different industry you can imagine. We have wholesale cannabis companies. We have plumbers that are regional. We have companies that are accounting firms. We have AI bots that do various things. You name it, we've got a company that does skydiving. They sell the equipment for like cameras and stuff, and then they sell a software that AI uses to mash all the key moments from your skydiving experience together. So then the skydiving company can sell that for another $25 after you've had your skydiving experience, and they get it by the time that they're on the ground. Within 15 minutes of them landing, the video's rendered and they can purchase it right then and there. And so it's all this cool stuff.
Yeah.
If you have an outrageous offer, on average, you will book 3.8 times more meetings than if you don't. Like, that's a wild number. Like, that's so we've had some clients. There's the cannabis client that I know you and I have talked about before, Doug. This one's fun. They were booking 1, maybe 2 meetings a month, because what does everybody do? They're trying to move from selling in DC to selling in California. So everybody out there, they're selling high-end artisanal cake pops. And everyone's like, we'll do free samples. So that's what all these people get hit up with, but it doesn't move the dial. Everybody's giving out free samples. It's like doing a free audit of a website or a free audit of a sales process. It's okay, but everybody's doing it, so okay. So I said, well, how much is a wholesale account worth to you, to the wholesaler or the cannabis companies? They go, well, low end 40 grand a year. Good size would be like 100K. And then, like an exceptional store would be, I don't know, 200,000. It's like, cool. Love that. That's per year, right? And they go, yeah. It's like, great. What's the biggest barrier to entry right now? They go, we just can't get enough people in the door. Great. Let's come up with an outrageous offer. What if, because you can't do digital advertising for weed, at least not on reputable sites, what if you were able to put out a billboard, because you can do this in California, where you're co-branded? So you have your cake pops pointing to the direction of the nearest dispensary. And they're like, oh, no one does that. I was like, yeah, it's probably gonna cost you like 4 to 8 grand, depending on the location, but you run it for a month. Here's what's gonna happen. People are gonna come in, they're gonna say, I wanna have those cake pops that I saw. That looks delicious. That sounds great. I was like, the second thing it's going to do is it's going to promote that store. So they're going to have more foot traffic where your product's on location. Second idea was, look, these places are kind of interesting and weird depending on where they are in the country. Some of them feel a little bit seedy. And what if you brought some life into it? What if you had a chef go make some cake pops? They don't have to be infused with THC, but just went and made some cake pops on location, and they sent it out to their emails, or like whatever. Like, how could you promote this in a way that more people would come to an event and buy some of your cake pops? And they're like, oh, we love that. So they went from booking 1 to 2 meetings a month to the first month that they started running this, they booked 22 meetings. The second month that they ran it, they booked 31 meetings. The third month they booked it, they booked 36 meetings. And they said, hey, Dave, time out. This is too much. We're closing these deals. Our chef can't get around enough, and we have to have enough funds in the bank from these people actually buying enough product for us to pay for some of these billboards. Can we pause? Sure. Came back, ran it again. Same results. So these results can work no matter what industry you're in. You just have to get really thoughtful about it and be creative. What is something that would be helpful to, again, because I'm thinking about the cannabis shop. I'm not thinking about my client. The cannabis shop, what do they need? Advertisement. It's hard to advertise. Well, what if you put something up on a billboard? Most cannabis shops aren't going to afford that. Right. You could. Oh, that's brilliant. Hey, they can't have great events like a brewery could have per se, or a restaurant. What if we brought a great event? Ooh, that brings more foot traffic. Yeah, that sounds great. So if you start to think in the mind of what they are experiencing as a pain point and start to move toward them, you can really move the dial.
In some ways, it's kind of like the Costco chicken thing, right?
Yeah.
you brought them in, and the reality is the cost per billboard. What I heard you say is it's really 1 or 2 clients a year pays for the whole cost of that billboard. Oh, a small client.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you get a client that's small and they're going to do $40,000 a year, and you pay $6, okay. And my whole question to them was, I said, if you do a billboard for a month in a populated area like LA or San Diego, do you think they're really only going to do 40,000 in revenue that year for you guys? Right. And they're like, no, they're probably going to do like at least 60. Maybe they'll do 100 even, just because we're going to have some. Yeah. Okay. So now you're talking about an even smaller percentage. And so the wheels just start turning as you start to think in a new way. How can you execute on that?
Yeah. And then we've got the sales expansion when they open other stores or people they might know that might need help from your client. Well, so folks, those of you who are like smiling ear to ear, congratulations. Those of you who have pulled your vehicle over and you're crying in the parking lot, don't fret, because you too can create an outrageous offer. So Dave, if people want to get a hold of you, understand more about what you do, how do they do so?
Yeah, you can go to davevalentine.co. You can also just type my name, Dave Valentine, into a search engine, and it's, I believe the second thing that comes up is my website. And I'm actually running some outrageous offer workshops. So if people are like, hey, I want to get in on that, I'm discounting them for a while for your listeners, Doug. So it's going to be, normally I charge $2,500 for a 90-minute session. It's now $997. And what we do in that is we actually go through and create at least 1, usually 2 outrageous offers for your company. And true to my nature, if you're not satisfied after the end of the 90-minute session, I give you your money back. So it's a fun way to learn the process and get some results immediately following our engagement. So there you go.
Well, thank you for that offer, Dave. I really appreciate that. We will put it in the show notes. That will be a limited time offer, folks. It's not in perpetuity, I'm assuming, Dave, right?
That's correct. Yep.
So if you want that, take that and, click the button and move forward and schedule your time with Dave. Dave, I want to thank you so much for being here today and bringing your A game. I really appreciate it. I know people are listening to this. Like I said, I know there are people that are smiling ear to ear like, oh my gosh, this is going to change my world. And there are other people probably crying right now going, oh my gosh, this is going to change my world. Right. So thanks for being here. Anything I should have asked you from your perspective that maybe, like, Doug, I wish you had asked me this question, or, or maybe not, right? So I always ask this question at the end.
Yeah, no, I think you did. No, I think you did fantastic. The one loop that I felt like I didn't tie up really well, that was my fault, not yours, is the outrageous offers are what got me out of the cycle of burnout. Between that and building good systems and processes for my team so that I didn't have to do the day-to-day really made a difference. But, as you and I have discussed before, Doug, not all your problems, but most of your problems are solved with cash flow.
Yes.
And if you can figure out the customer acquisition side and do what you did, which is increase that close rate and the number of leads you have coming in, all of a sudden stress and anxiety start to fall away. So my biggest recommendation to people is generate more leads through outrageous offers and close more deals with them.
Well said, sir. Thanks again for being here. All right, what did you learn here? Did you learn that maybe objections are opportunities to discover more about your clients, that they shouldn't be feared, but they should be embraced? That this is information coming in that says, whoa, hey, I'm uncomfortable about this, or hey, I'm looking for this. And imagine if you could take that information and you could weave it into an offer up front. In other words, you could take that information and create leverage points for yourself, your team, and everybody you do business with. What would that do for your business? I mean, if you think about it, what Dave said is he does this for his personal relationship. He understands what his wife is looking for, and he heads those points off for her and makes her life easier and better. Wow, what a great partner, right? To have in a relationship. Why don't we become great partners for our potential buyers, for our current clients that will regenerate another sale again and again, over spawning referrals, because we make it easy for them to say yes and for them to put their trust in us. We make it easy to move the fear points down and the buying confidence up by understanding what an outrageous offer is and how to craft it and put it together. If you like this content of this particular show, let us know. Please give us a 5-star review. I would really appreciate that. If you are an expert and you or someone you know is an expert and you have a topic for the show, reach out to us at YouMatter, YOUMATTER, at ceosalesstrategies.com. Let us know what your idea is. We answer every single thing that comes in, and we'll let you know if this is a fit or not. And if it is, we'll invite you on the show. If you're looking to be in the top 1% of earners through selling, we have a university that we are opening this year. We have tested it multiple times to make sure that we work out some of the kinks. If you are interested in getting on the waiting list for that, or for our new SaaS product, which is going to be a proactive, automatic prospecting and relevant, meaningful follow-up system that goes to conversion for you. In other words, it does the work for you while you can't, and it covers your basis and your back when you just don't have the time to do it. If you're interested in getting on the waiting list for that, or you're interested in getting on the waiting list for the 1%, just reach out to me directly at doug@ceosalesstrategies.com. Let me know you're interested. I'll respond back, and then we'll take the next steps together. Until next time, this is Doug C. Brown with the CEO Sales Strategies podcast saying, go out, sell something, sell a lot of it, play win-win, right? Make yourself happy, make other people happy too. That is win-win. Solve their problems, help them with their opportunities. In return, they're going to give you compensation for that value. Until next time, to your success.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the CEO Sales Strategies podcast. What is something that you learned that you could act on today? Don't forget to schedule it now, or it may never get forward momentum. If you find our content valuable, please leave a favorable review and let us know what you liked. Please also share this with others if the content will help them. For our show notes, other episodes, and more interesting content and resources, please visit ceosalesstrategiespodcast.com. See you soon, and to your continued success.